It's going to be me and Bob today. We're going to be talking about a couple of issues, discussing a few things that's going on. Got a possible breaking news story that we're confirming as we speak. If you saw me on the phone as we started off, that's why. It's about to go down. First, I just want to talk about a couple of things, though. I was watching. Okay, Facebook is on. Welcome to everybody on Facebook. You're tuned into Black Westchester Presents the People Before Politics radio show on intermixradio.com. Give you that real talk for the community since 2014. Yes, so as I was saying before Facebook actually kicked in, we are working on a breaking news story as we speak, getting confirmations and all that good stuff. Our guest, for those in Ossining that was expecting to see the town trustee Quintel Bazemore, he could not make it at the last minute, so he will not be here. But one of the things we were going to talk about, there was a young man, I don't know much details about it, a young man named Greg Jackson who was murdered. I think the incident happened Monday, and he was in a coma for 4 days, and he died on Thursday. And the community is outraged, and, well, I don't want to say outraged. The community is searching for answers. We might, if anybody in Ossining is listening and knows any more about the situation and can shed any light, they can call in at 718-705-4959, 718-705-4959. So let me see. Shouts to a few people on the check-in already. Shout out to Robbie Mann. Shout out to John Rivera. Shout out to Azrael Nelson. Shout out to D Wilson. What's going on? Also, Lorraine Lopez is a little under the weather today, so she will not be here. Damon K. Jones may call in. We're not quite sure. I know he's working on a couple of things, and I know a lot of y'all are like, oh, y'all on today? Ain't it Super Bowl Sunday? Yes, it's Super Bowl Sunday, but the show still must go on, and I'm not really going to speak much about the Super Bowl today. I really don't care who wins as long as the Patriots lose. That's all I have to say as a diehard Giants fan. So that's my 2 cents about the Super Bowl. And the place to be, okay, I see Kemi Pogue is on. I just was talking about the situation with the young man, inviting anybody from Ossining if they want to call in and discuss that in the beginning of the show. 718-705-4959. It's 718-705-4959. And once again, we're talking about, I'm going to pull up the message that I got earlier. We're talking about a young 21-year-old man that was stabbed to death in Ossining on Monday. And News 12 did a story, and I see a quote in here, they know who did it. They know who it is, family says. Police know who killed their son. That's a quote from the News 12, the News 12 post. You can find it on News 12. We were going to have the town trustee Quintel Bazemore on, but he couldn't make it at the last minute. He was going to talk about that and a few other things. So again, anybody who wants to call in from Ossining to shed some light on that or give us the feeling, the mood of the streets of the community right now, can definitely call in at 718-705-4959. And with that said, we got along with me in the studio, and the place to be is Dr. Bob Baskerville. Robert Baskerville, PhD. Brooklyn Bob.
I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out. Use the microphones. What's up, everybody? Pleasure to be with you, AJ.
Yes. I'm doing multiple things right now. Any stories right now going on that you want to talk about? Anything that happened this week that did, except for the possible breaking news, because we haven't confirmed that yet. So other than that.
Right. So there are a number of stories that are important for us to discuss this week. Perhaps we need to start Westchester-wide. one of my close confidants with whom I often discuss important Westchester news contacted me to make sure that I was aware of reports that the Con Edison utility service had reached full capacity on the gas lines that are running in Westchester County. And as a result, it appears that this is going to make it impossible for any new development construction to occur, because Con Ed apparently is not going to be laying down any new gas pipes. So this is an issue that is of concern to the Westchester community more broadly, of course, because our economic and residential development, certainly to a certain extent, depends on the ability of the county utility or Con Edison to supply gas to expanding businesses and residences. It is a it was of such importance that LoHUD actually ran an article about it earlier this week. And indeed, the concern was underscored later this week when county legislator Lyndon Williams also posted comments to his Facebook page expressing his concern about the failure of Con Ed to adequately plan for the projected expansion in services. And one of the things that legislator Williams pointed out was that in their proposed budget increases, Con Ed had essentially indicated that they needed some of the money that would be generated from an increase of rates would be allocated towards the expansion of our pipe carrying capacity. Indeed, Legislator Williams pointed out that Con Ed promised in a lot of the renovations that they've been recently doing all throughout Mount Vernon, tore up all the streets in Mount Vernon, major inconvenience for the people I know along the 4th Street corridor, well into the Heights. I know some of my friends and family down there also had their blocks sort of upended while Con Ed was doing this construction to lay down new pipes, and now apparently they're not capable of delivering gas. I don't know if Legislator Williams happens to be listening, but I would certainly urge him to call in if he has an opportunity and maybe share a couple of minutes on air with our listeners to give them further details about the moratorium on the expansion of pipeline and the impact that that's likely to have on us going into the future. So that was one of my issues that came on the horizon, on the radar for me this week, AJ.
Okay. I'm texting. I'm texting the county legislator now to see if he's interested in calling in. So there was another story that had to do with, I think.
And
go ahead.
I'm sorry, because I saw also our tireless behind-the-scenes support staff, including Brenda Crump, posted something relevant, an article related to the issue on our Facebook comments page. So anyone who wants to get further details can click on the link that Brenda Crump was nice enough to share with us. And I can read the headline of the title and of the article. And let me just pull it up and just read it fully, AJ. This is out of LoHUD on January 31st of this year, and it says Con Ed's gas moratorium could have a drastic impact on schools' capital projects. So, I a lot of residents in the city of Mount Vernon have rightly spoke excitedly about the possibility that the same kind of expansion that has led to the revival of many of our sister cities is slated to come to Mount Vernon, and people are hoping, I'm somewhat skeptical, but in any case, people are hoping that this will really be the catalyst to revive the local Mount Vernon economy. However, those capital expansion projects, whether to build new residential buildings or government facilities, are not going to be successful if we don't have any gas to pipe into these areas, and so it could be a major drag on those projects. So anyone who was looking forward to perhaps some serious economic redevelopment, I don't know. We better get on the horn. So, in any case, AJ.
So also this week, I think it was this week, there was a story about, and I thought that was also low HUD, about the raises and bonuses to Maria Donovan paid from out of the IDA, I believe it was, or something like that. You remember that story?
Yes, I do remember the story. So also this week, yes, the low HUD also, was it John Bandler? Or
I believe so. John Bandler, yes, sir.
I believe John Bandler wrote a very revealing story indicating that the mayor's special assistant, Maria Donovan, who came over with the mayor from the New York Energy Corporation that he ran under the leadership of Jerry Kremer, was illegally, I think that's a fair description, illegally funneled additional monies towards her salary, somewhere on the order of, I believe, $30,000, without receiving prior approval from the board. I did have an opportunity to read the article that appeared in Low HUD in its entirety, and it is very troubling. Needless to say, is to begin with, it's always hard to get a straight story about what is going on in the city of Mount Vernon because of the lack of transparency and the unwillingness of the administration to share essentially public records that would allow us to get a full story. In any case, based on the records that John Bandler was able to obtain, it appears that Maria Donovan had approval, I think, for a contract of about $95,000 a year.
Yeah, and it was what, bumped up to 135 or something like that? Or?
Bumped up to 135, and from the details of the reporting in John's story, it would appear that none of the other board members were even aware of this. Although, of course, the mayor had some, as the executive director of the IDA, the mayor has ultimate responsibility for all dealings under his leadership, and the mayor, as usual, came up with some unconvincing story as to why it was that the board members were not informed of the increase in Maria Donovan's salary. But in addition to the salary increase, apparently the IDA also funneled to Maria a additional, I think it was a $15,000 a year bonus, maybe for 2 years.
It was two $15,000 a year bonuses for the years of 2016 and 2017. In 2016, she was not an employee of the IDA, and I think that was what came out, one of the things that came out in the article.
Right. So, you know, I would call this seems to be, to me, to be an example of double dipping. My sense is that there are strict rules. You can't, a person cannot be paid twice for the same job from different budgets. I know here.
So the article,
Go on.
I just pulled it up. The article is titled, Top Aide to Mount Vernon Mayor Quietly Got $70,000 in Extra Pay Without Board Approval. The story goes on. I'm going to share that link real quick so y'all can pull that up and read that on your own for yourselves. I'm sharing it in the comment section right now. Paste. There it goes right there. Anybody who wants to read the story. But it goes on. It starts off. One of Mount Vernon Mayor Richard Thomas's top aides received $40,000 raise, and $30,000 in bonuses from the City Industrial Development Agency in 2017 without the approval of the agency board of directors. The additional compensation to Maria Donovan was authorized by the agency's vice president, Lawrence Bakari, who runs the city law department, as the corporation counsel. The IDA is a public benefit corporation at City Hall that promotes job growth and business opportunities in the city. It is run by an executive director, has a board of directors chaired by the mayor, and gets its revenue not from taxpayers but from development projects that receive tax breaks. There was something else I wanted to bring out. Like other IDAs, Mount Vernon is overseen. Mount Vernon IDA is overseen by the State Authority Budget Office. When asked about the raise in bonuses, its executive director, Jeffrey Perlman, said both appeared improper, as they should have been approved by the board and the bonuses were not properly justified. He cites an advisory opinion by the state controller suggesting that such bonuses, in the absence of a performance evaluation process, generally constitutes mere gratuity and improper gift of public money. And you can read the rest of that yourself. I just posted.
That's a nice
link.
fancy way of saying stealing.
So, real quick, on the check-in, we got Tracy Cates. What's going on, Tracy? Floyd Myers, what's up, my brother?
Brother Floyd, what's happening, man?
Robbie Man, what's going on? Kemi Pogue out there in Austin. The Future Society, D. Wilson, Janelle Albritton, Mount Vernon Post, Frank Trulio Jr., Uncle Frank, Brenda L. Crump, L for the lovely, Brenda L. Crump.
The lovely.
Who holds us down with all the information and behind the scenes. Cicely Greaves, a few of the people, if you see a name that I don't see, please. Monique James jumped in, is on the check-in. One listener said Ossining is in mourning, and that is in reference to the story that we were talking about earlier. And I'm hoping to get some Ossining residents who don't mind talking about it to give us the mood of the city of Ossining and to give us further information on the situation, on what happened. Again, the number is 718-705-4959. I also did send a text message to County Legislator Lyndon Williams to see if he wanted to discuss what you were just talking about any further and, get into that for about 5 minutes. So we'll see if he calls back. We are still waiting for confirming information about a breaking news story that will be very interesting. I just want to make sure I have all my information. I just got another tip about it as we were going on the air. Just gonna wait for one more thing.
Yo, AJ, this feels very Rachel Maddow right now. I mean,
that's then it's we're gonna we may have breaking news before the show is over, just like Rachel would say. You know what I'm saying? We may have some breaking news for you. Tracy said hi, Dr. Bob. Hi, AJ.
Yes,
Frank
Tracy.
said
How are you
hello,
today?
gentlemen. Comments. It's a monopoly, Janelle. I'm not sure what Janelle was. Oh, okay. Janelle said, too bad we don't have any alternative to Con Ed gas. Frankie Mann said it's a monopoly, Janelle. Before that, he asked, what about Latimer? County executives should have some insight on that. I think he does. I think he had a statement. I have to pull that up. I don't have that in front of me.
He did. I think when the county executive was on last week, I think he did make quick mention.
Did he? Because I know I stepped out a few times
yeah,
when y'all were talking. Thank you, Janelle. Said nice hat.
Thank you, Janelle. That's for me, AJ. That's not for you. No.
Robbie said good to see you, AJ. And the young man's name is Greg Jackson. I don't know if I said that in Austin. The young man's name is Greg Jackson. So like
our condolences to
the family
and to
the residents. Again, I got the information last night. So it's at some point yesterday, and I had reached out to Quintel Bazemore, a friend of the show, who's been on a few times. He's their town trustee, which for all of y'all who don't know, towns have trustees as opposed to as cities have councils. City councilman, or woman. So he was trying his best to be here. Couldn't make it at the last minute. He was going to address a whole bunch of other issues in Ossining. So I don't have a lot of information on it, although I know it was a story on News 12. And I will see if I can pull that up and put that in the comment section for you as well. But yes, my condolences to the family. I understand the city is mourning the town of Ossining. I understand that they're demanding answers, and like I said, according to the News 12, the family feels that the police know who did it. And I know that it's probably too fresh right now for the family to call in and to expect to get somebody to call in from the family. But friends of the family, just people in the community, I want to really know. We want to share with the audience what the mood is out there. What's really going on. What the story that the news don't tell you that you can only get from the having boots on the ground for the community. But that situation is unfortunate. What else was in the news this week? Oh, so first things, I just I get inspired by a lot of little things I watched. Shout out to Atif, he just checked in. I watched something on HBO. It was kind of a documentary into Jimmy Breslin and I cannot think of the other columnist, but Jimmy Breslin was he wasn't your ordinary columnist, because he was like, for a journalist or a reporter or a columnist, whatever, he was larger than life. Like, he went on to have like cereal commercials and beer commercials, and like, he was a celebrity. He was a big deal. Like, you know what I'm saying? But the other guy, I can't think of his name. They don't talk much about him. But Joe, when they were showing him, this dude dated Jackie O.
Oh.
Yeah, something like, and what's that? Shirley MacLaine, and Breslin he had no column for that day, so he was talking about, I don't know what's going on with my partner here. He dating Shirley MacLaine, but he out with Jackie O right now. Like, he blew up his spot. Right? They was showing that. He was like, but the man was seen with like all the women of that era. Like he just, and they were. But I get inspired. Was inspired by. And say what you said about Jimmy. What you were saying about the
yeah. So I was saying, that. I mean, number one, I should say, me and Jimmy Breslin have similar eyebrows. He had very bushy eyebrows.
Oh, okay.
But
that's not what he was known for. But yeah, go ahead.
Yes. But what Jimmy Breslin is really was one of the last of local newspaper reporters who shared a working class background in common with many of the communities that they reported upon.
Pete Hamill.
Oh, yes, and Pete Hamill.
That's the guy. That's
both
the guy.
Writers for the New York Daily News, at least for
at one time, the Daily News had both of them.
Yes.
And at that time, the Daily News was the biggest selling paper in the country at the time.
Right.
According to the documentary. The documentary, just in case, is called A Breslin Hamill Documentary. No, Breslin and Hamill, Deadline Artists. That's what it's called. It was on HBO. It's on HBO now. You can probably catch it on demand. I watched it earlier today. But go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, so I was saying that Jimmy Breslin and I guess Pete Hamill are part of a generation of journalists who are remembered today as being much more in touch with the working class audiences that they reported about. This is really before he really reaches the height of his career, before the news service here in the United States was transformed in two important ways. Number one, the consolidation of news businesses that led to a discontinuance of a lot of local reporting. We here in Westchester, who've been, of a certain generation, a little older, remember this because we know that before there was the low HUD that served Westchester all around, and it's very thin. Actually, when you get it on your doorstep, it was preceded by the Daily Argus, which was really focused almost exclusively on Mount Vernon. It gave significant amount of coverage.
As LoHUD is a USA Today affiliate, and you'll have news from everything in there. Yeah.
So in that respect, the consolidation of newsrooms sort of led to a increased distance between news reporters and their communities, which contributes to the lack of trust that many people today have in our news. Another parallel development that occurred was the professionalization of the news, of news. Jimmy Breslin, if I'm not mistaken, I feel pretty confident in this, is part of a generation of reporters who actually cut their teeth in the news business by doing reportage as, from the ground up as cub reporters. And they got a lot of their training on the job. That's unlike today's news services, which are highly professionalized, in which the journalist is more likely than not to go to journalism school and sort of be inducted into the professional ethos of business reporting, of reporting. And one of the things that you and I were talking about, AJ, or, before we came over, is that this has been accompanied by a change in the language. One of the reasons why newspapers of a certain brand are not so popular, it's arguable they're written for professors at some level. It's, very lengthy. The sentences are long, they're convoluted, and many critics will argue that it's just suited for the reading taste of, a particular segment of the American reading public and not generally accessible. So I was also saying that, I was telling AJ, I was like, in some respects, AJ is like our own local Jimmy Breslin, right?
Wow.
He, similar to Breslin and a previous generation of reporters, didn't necessarily go off to journalism school to learn the craft. Instead, AJ started decades ago, as it turns out now, doing reportage with a lot of hip-hop magazines initially, which focused on his interests, but it was a similar kind of trajectory. And in many respects, the kind of news outlet that AJ, Damon, and all the people that surround them and support them are trying to build is a similar kind of operation where it's not so much, people with all of the professional credentials that are giving the news, but instead local members of the community who have undergone self-training to figure out how to do good reporting, do good research, and write well. And I think in that sense, you following a long tradition, brother, and we can only hope that you reach a similar pinnacle of success.
Well, I appreciate all of that, and I was inspired by just the pieces of the documentary I did see. I got to see the whole thing in its entirety, and it made me want to know. I remember those days from the Daily News. I remember reading his stories, but he also wrote for New York Times. He wrote for various publications. He appeared on various talk shows. He was larger than life. Literally. The dude had a cereal commercial, and then Pabst Blue Ribbon beer. He was like, I just call it good drinking beer. And then it was like, Pabst Blue Ribbon, good drinking beer. Like, he was that Irish, he was that regular dude. He was just, it was definitely encouraging, and I do strive to be more like him. And he had a series of books. Both him and Pete Hamill had a series of books, and we need more of that in media and local media. We definitely need that in African American and media that covers communities of color. They was talking about some of the big stories that he did. He covered the Central Park 5 thing, and they was bringing back, what Trump had to say, and then, what really happened. And he was like, his words, and Pete Hamill's words were like, just crazy. He covered that. Son of Sam was another big story. It was, stories like that. Actually, Son of Sam, Jimmy, now for those who don't remember, Jimmy is the journalist that Son of Sam sent his letter to.
Oh, that's right.
And then he walked into the police department. Police department like, what's he doing here? He don't even like the police. I've heard that before. Anyway, he wanted to show him. They was like, nah, write him back in the paper and keep him talking. And they were going back and forth, like literally. He was, and Jimmy wrote an article, which was a bold move. Message to Son of Sam, give up. And he, I believe, agreed to turn himself into him, to Jimmy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's huge. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's huge. His legacy will be forever is cemented. I think he got a Pulitzer or two. But it's just, it just inspired me. It's just a writer. I was like all up. It's like, and then to hear all of the, top-notch writers, reporters, and journalists, and, their esteem for him. You know what I'm saying? When you hear the esteem from your peers, like, it was just good. So I watched that earlier today. Watched a couple of documentaries. Shout to Maureen Walker, who is tuned in. Donna Nolan. I saw a few other people tune in. Joanne May and Nesta Felix. Shout out to Nesta Felix. And I have to announce the event, the two events coming up. Yes. Go ahead.
Perhaps Donna can confirm this for us. So the other day I saw a message posted from her son Jimmy regarding the upcoming annual basketball playoff that they have as part of the Nolan Foundation's activities. And if I'm not mistaken, at the time, her son had announced that they had room for one additional entrant into the tournament if anyone was interested. The foundation, the fee for entering a team is $350, if I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And in addition, they provide shirts for the team. So it's an excellent cause. Everyone, as you know, the Nolan Foundation is engaged in gun violence activities of various kinds, and some of those proceeds are going to be used to try to combat gun violence here in the city of Yonkers and throughout Westchester County. So I urge anyone who can support them to please consider doing so.
You have another Ossining community member who also shared the News 12 story and left the comment, please keep Greg's parents in your prayers. They are going through unimaginable pain. No parent should have to bury their child. The Ossining community is deeply mourning the loss of Gregory Jackson, 21-year-old handsome 2016 Ossining High School graduate. Anybody that wants to call in about that, the number is 718-705-4959. I want to hear from Ossining. Anybody who wants to call in from Ossining, definitely want to hear. And I'm gonna I forgot to text the town trustee, see if he can call in. I think he wants to wait too. Now that he didn't come, he wants to wait because the police department is supposed to be issuing a statement sometime between now and Wednesday. So I think he's waiting to hear what their statement is going to be. But he guarantees that Black Westchester People Before Politics will have a state. He will have a statement, a quote, a comment for us once he reads their statement. So again, check out the story. It's on there. It's another tragedy. I mean, another young life lost in the community. I don't know what the circumstances are surrounding it. I'm still, like I said, I was just brought aware of the situation yesterday afternoon. But it happened Monday, and he was in a coma till Thursday, and he died Thursday. And I believe yesterday they had yesterday evening they had a memorial or something for him that several people were at. So, yes, hi guys, a little late, FaceTiming with my son. He just started the National Guard tour. That's what Donna wrote.
Donna, if you can put your hands on the link to the latest flyer that was shared online for Facebook viewers, can you post it for us so we could just make sure everyone has it?
Well, since we're talking about events, let me get a couple of those out the way as well. I've posted some of the flyers here. I'm going to pull them up so I can read them out. Saturday, February 10th, from 3 o'clock to 7 o'clock p.m., Cupcake Cutie Boutique presents the Black History Month Black Business Appreciation. And I think sponsored by Cupcake Cutie, Black Westchester, 19 Court, INSP is one of the boutiques we feature in Black Westchester this month. Jungle Restaurant in Mount Vernon, Multi Hustler, Soul to Go, which is a new restaurant opening on Stevens Avenue. I think it's Stevens Avenue, and they open in March 4th. I also have a little coverage of them in this month's issue. Also, so yeah, that's there's Apricots and Honey on Lincoln Avenue, 673 East Lincoln Avenue, Mount Vernon. Music by DJ Tri-State Jericho. What's up, sir? And hosted by Cynthia Turnquest Jones of the Bump, Black Urban Mother Partnership.
Bump it up.
So that again, that's Saturday, February 10th, 2019. 3 to 7 p.m. Apricots and Honey, Black History Month, Black Business Appreciation. The flyer says, while celebrating Black History Month, we want you to thank you and the many friends and customers who have supported our businesses. Please join us for this free event. So that will definitely be something if you're in the area. Also, Councilman Wallace advertised with us his Andre Wallace for Mayor campaign kickoff celebration, pre-Valentine party and fundraiser, Monday, February 11th, 6 to 8 p.m. at Molino's at Lake Isle Country Club, 660 White Plains Road, East Chester, New York. If you can and want to come check that out. There is also
I even though I am very closely affiliated with a lot of Black Westchester activities, I'm going to be there to support Councilman Wallace's in his mayoral endeavor. So I urge those of you who are, supportive, if you are, to come on out. Not, you won't, of course.
Brenda, thank you for posting. There's a Low Huddle article, Austin and Mourn's Young Man's Death. She just posted the link. And another young lady just sent, there is an actual GoFundMe in the memory of Gregory Jackson, and they posted the link. If you can, and tap on that, put something in there for the family. Something else going on, and I can't remember. Oh, Wednesday. Well, first off, tomorrow, don't forget to check us out on WVOX for the Black Westchester Power Hour between 11 a.m. and 12 p.m., 12 noon. God bless you. And then Tuesday is my birthday. And then Wednesday, I will be speaking at Westchester Community College for their Black History program. So I still have to finish my speech, and I'll be doing that when I leave here. When I finish the show tomorrow, we're working on that. So I'm excited about that. And we're being honored on February 22nd at the New Flex Youth Program Winter Ball, first annual. I'll have to find a flyer and post that. If you, Brenda, if you got the flyer, please post that, the link or the flyer to that. We're being honored, and I'm looking forward to that. And I know there's a bunch of stuff going on. This being Black History Month, there's a bunch of activities. There's a bunch of events. Thank you. Somebody said, Cicely said, happy birthday.
We're glad to see the correction, Tracy.
I just saw the correction.
That's
I don't
still
know.
no. She's gonna laugh.
Oh, okay. I don't know. What, I'm at a loss for that one because I now you're gonna make me scroll up, and I'm trying not to. So Robbie Man, Robbie Man has been asking what has gone on, and has there been updates to Cupcake Cutie and the close down? I will. I don't have all the information, but I definitely will make sure I get it by next week. I do know that they're going through the process of doing whatever they have to do. The judge, scheduled a date that they have to. The city has to come in and do their inspection and give them their permanent certificate by a certain date, or they have to go back to court. Okay, Bob. They have to go back to court, and as Atif posted, Cupcake Cutie is suing the city for $5 million, I believe it is, for all of the I guess harassment, retaliation, and various other things that have occurred since 2017. I'm not sure if it goes back further than that, but so basically, Robbie, that's the most recent update. I will, of course, as anything new comes up, I will definitely share it here. There's not much more new. Cupcake Cutie is still doing what it, still doing business as, and they're doing a lot of good things for the community. So that's where that is. I just wanted to address because I saw that come up and I did not really address it. So the Michael Nolan basketball tournament is February 24th.
Okay.
That's the day. And she answered your question. As soon as her son gets back, she'll have him post the flyer or put up the flyer for you.
All right, wonderful. Thank you, Donna.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yes, Cicely, Aquarius in the house. Yes. Shout out to all my fellow Aquarians, especially the February Aquarians, be the cooler ones. But but all the Aquarians out there, shout out. Everybody else that did their whole zodiac thing, celebrating their birthday. So shout out to all the Aquarians out there. Shout out to all my people in Atlanta. It is crazy out there today. It has been crazy out there all week. It's just been crazy. That's just like one thing Atlanta knows how to do is party and celebrate. And they didn't need another reason to do either one. And, the Super Bowl, all I know is my dad, he don't like all the extra traffic right now. He's like, man, he going to be happy when everybody go home. Because, for the average people, getting around is becoming a little bit of a hassle right now.
We see you in good company.
Uncle
Frank is an Aquarian, huh?
So I'm the 5th. That's Tuesday. The 8th is what? Friday. Happy. So yes, it'll be before next Sunday. So happy birthday to Uncle Frank. This coming Friday. And Cicely said her birthday is the 17th. Happy birthday to you. But we will be there. Yeah. Oh, Latif agreed. Yes, they do. Yes, they do know how to party, Atlanta. Yes. It's crazy. They turned into a week of partying. Oh, I did want to speak on the one thing I wanted to speak on about the Super Bowl. So, the artist Travis Scott, I believe that's his name, he's catching a lot of heat from hip hop circles because he agreed to perform at the Super Bowl, I guess, for the halftime show. And several top-notch artists, Jay-Z, I believe Beyonce, and several other artists have turned it down, right? And they boycotting it because of the Kaepernick situation. You know what I'm saying? Just, you did what you did to my man Cap. We not rocking with you. And I respect that, and I feel that. But he's been catching, like, a lot of heat because he agreed to. There's a couple of different ways to look at it, though. All the artists who have turned it down, they're stars. They're superstars. They're international stars. Travis Scott, this is probably like the biggest thing in his life. Like, he probably has never done anything that will have an audience of this big. You know what I'm saying? Like, a Super Bowl performance has has the potential
Make or break
of like excelling your career to
Sure.
on another level, to a whole nother audience.
International
Right.
superstardom.
So when you say that, you know, oh yes, and yes, I agree. The Gladys Knight has also been catching heat. She's going to perform too.
Mm-hmm.
It's in Atlanta. That's where she's from. She's gonna rock. But I mean, like, hip hop can be very unmerciful. They're very, you know, when we get to a thing in our head, and I agree and I respect the big artists who said they're not gonna be used. They're not going. They turned it down. But you know what? For those artists, they're already there. This does more for the Super Bowl than it does for them. Like, it's not really gonna elevate them, but so much more. They're where they are. You know what I'm saying? This could elevate this dude. This could not performing. This could, you know, elevate things a little bit. Not performing, this could keep him at a certain level that he may never see another audience like this again. So I can't say from that perspective if I'm really, and I understand the reason to boycott, but I can't say I'm mad at him for that.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? And I just want people to look at both sides. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, and y'all can chime in and y'all can say what y'all want to say about it, but I just felt that, you know, from a perspective of an artist, though, you know what I'm saying? Had I been him, that artist, I do feel the way that they feel. You know what I'm saying? The ones that are boycotting it. But what this can do for his career, I mean, you know, some people are not willing to turn past that up. Like, and I don't know if that's, you know, all the heat he's catching is warranted. Y'all object to him accepting it, the invitation, and that's noted. Now let him rock out. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, that's it. Like, you know, everybody has the right to make the choices that they make, and you got to make the choices that's best for your career. And this could be a very good career move for him. And I don't think it makes him a sellout or anything. Like, I mean, you know, it's not like he begged to perform. They asked him to perform. And I understand the top artists that didn't want to do it, and I respect them as well. So I just want you to look at both sides of it. You know what I'm saying? Just because I've seen people that did not know who he was, but read the hate and started hating on him, and they don't even know him. They've never even heard his music. They were just going along with the level, you know, they were just going with the crowd and hating on him. You know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to point that out. That's all I really want to say about the Super Bowl, though. You know what I'm saying, as far as that's concerned. So, unforgiving. That's another good word. Hip hop is very unforgiving. Very unforgiving. Yes, it is. But I mean, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, but ain't nobody. I mean, like, yo, Shaq got like the whole Shaq Funhouse, and he's having a big performance, and he got artists coming down performing at his joint. And it's Super Bowl related. Ain't nobody screaming on Shaq or none of them artists.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And there's a lot of other people performing at pre-Super Bowl events because, you know, Atlanta turned this into an all-week excuse to just do some shows and have fun and party, you know, and which is what they do best, again. But anyway, that's I don't know if you have any thoughts on that. I
mean, so I stopped being a fan of the NFL a long time ago. I just grew out of it. So for me, I happen not to watch games. I haven't seen a game all year. I haven't seen games in some time, even though, you know, with friends in the past, I might have sat down and watched a game. So, you know, I would like to hope, AJ, that I would be in a position, if I were in that position, that I would be able to remain true to my moral principles. But the reality is that when you live in a capitalist society, there is immense pressure, whether you're a person of modest income or a person who's making major bread, to make decisions that are going to advance your career. And in that sense, I mean, you know, people often will find it difficult to put principles over money because you got to pay those bills. You know, what's also interesting, I think, is that what we need to bear in mind is that even though we're not asking NFL players, we're not asking anyone on either the teams, but especially the black players themselves not to play, right? They can show their solidarity for Kaepernick's protests against police brutality, and yet still play the game, right? And so in some respects, ironically, we're asking people who are on the periphery of this major event to make a greater sacrifice than those who are central to it. If we wanted to stop, if people wanted the Super Bowl Sunday not to proceed out of protest for the continuing pattern of, police brutality in our country, the main persons who could put this end to is the football players themselves. So let's be clear about that. We're actually asking artists and second party people to make a greater sacrifice than the players themselves. So that's number one. Number two, interesting pointed out in discussing like Cardi B's position, which I applaud, that in some respects to refuse to participate in the halftime festivities as a performer, you can still get the political credit and yet still get money if you do a commercial. So if you really wanted to disassociate yourself fully with the NFL and not contribute at all to any kind of the money that gonna generate, then people should not do commercials or anything, which is a huge source of revenue as well. I don't know if it made me wonder whether Kaepernick's commercial had the one for the Nike did. I don't know if that appeared at Super Bowl, but I went and looked and I guess I got the impression that it didn't, but I was curious. It would have.
I just pulled up something, Billboard from January 13th, written by Hillary Hughes, called Travis Scott Wouldn't Play Super Bowl Halftime Show Without Charitable Commitment from the NFL. Travis Scott is signed to perform during the halftime show for the Super Bowl 53, but only after the NFL agreed to join him in donating to a cause for social justice.
Right.
That's another way to go about it. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Use your use your celebrity status, use your whatever, your platform to, get some money that normally wouldn't have gone to maybe one of those causes. That's another way to handle it. We all handle things differently. You know what I'm saying? We all have different platforms. We all have different, so anyway, I just want to put all sides of that. I'm not saying pro, con, or whatever, but I'm hearing a lot of hate, and I'm just saying from an artist's perspective, I can't totally be mad at him.
I mean, really, this is what I think everyone should think about. I believe I'm a union person, a union man. I believe that people should refuse to cross picket lines in support and solidarity with protests. So that's essentially what we're asking Travis Scott was asked to do, not to cross the picket line. And I want all of our listeners to consider whether or not they will refuse to go to work.
Well, that, you know what?
It's to support
No. We was at Bob Law had one of those night talk live, and he had it at the Miss, or I think it was the Miss. One of them built up, but I think it was the Miss. So they had Damon as one of the panelists, and some activist dude told Damon that what he needed to not do is not go to work. That didn't go. And we, that didn't go over too big. But he's like, so I don't go to work, and then I give those white cops more overtime. Like, you know what I'm saying? And then I don't get a check. Like, how does that solve the problem? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, how did that? They were incensed asking Damon not to go to work, and that wasn't happening. Now D. Wilson did say,
there you go, Tracy. No scabs.
Yeah.
Tracy's a good union woman.
Right. She is. This is what D. Wilson said. We can't flip-flop when we're supposed to take a stance. That is showing that we are weakened and will sell our people out for $1. Travis Scott don't need nothing. He is living with a child of Jenna Kardashian. We have to take a stance and stand on it, period. That's what she had to say. Tracy said no, the commercial didn't air during the Super Bowl.
Because I was going to say, AJ, because I was listening to commentary on MSNBC, and one of the commentators noted that even though Cardi B who was fortunate to attain superstar status after years of, trying to make it in the in the music industry. Refused to perform in a halftime show, but she did air a commercial that's going to appear, and she's still making multi-million-dollar contracts. So it's almost like having your cake and eating it too. I don't say this to in any way demean anyone. It's just I want to highlight the complexity and ask us to think about, whether we'd be able to do it in their situation. I also want to say this, though, AJ, about Travis Scott's insistence in the clause to make donations to, charitable causes that support social justice. This is, I think, something that everyone in America has to realize, but especially black folk. Our social justice movements cannot survive on symbolic protests. It's like, Cap can take a knee, and all the players in the NFL can take a knee week in and week out, but my sense is that they're going to have limited effectiveness. And if they're going to be effective, those kind of symbolic protests need to be paired with on-the-ground action, where people are really taking it to their local power centers. And for some reason, despite the urgency of the problem, the dollars that support those kind of activities are very slow coming. Interestingly, mention was made of Chance the Rapper and, his role, in the sort of similar kind of controversies and some of the things that he has done. And it was reported that he decided to fund a local newspaper. And, to me, I don't care how many. Everyone in the damn NFL could take a knee every Sunday. I don't think it's going to, that in and of itself is not going to be enough.
I want to just say, that's not the first time a hip hop artist has done that.
Mm-hmm.
Back when St. Ives was the beer and they was trying to pay all the rappers,
Mm-hmm.
Ice Cube to do the commercials.
Okay.
Ice Cube said, "Yeah, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do some dope commercials, but you're gonna put money into all of these organizations." And in addition to paying him, the price for getting me to do that is you're going to have to support these organizations that I support. You're going to have to put a considerable amount of money. And he made that part of his stipulation to do the commercial. So, and that was back, when he had just left NWA and started that solo career and was popping off. So this has been done before. Like, and you need, freedom's not free.
Right.
There's a cost. Everybody wants, the results, and some people got to put the work in, and sometimes, and you need the financial part to go behind it, to support the efforts. We need the support. Like, everybody's not going to go out and march, and everybody's not going to go out and do the die-in where you lay down in the middle of Grand Central Station or shut down the Brooklyn Bridge. But sometimes what you can do is by putting a couple of dollars into the situation, helping them raise money. We getting thanks to you. We getting the union shout out. Tracy, CWA Union and Proud. D Wilson, 1199
in the house.
SEIU here. You know what I'm saying? So everybody's everybody's throwing throwing up their hoods. They unions.
Right.
So shout out to all the union workers.
Absolutely.
Shout out to all the union workers. Unions. I'm a former Teamster. When I was with Coca-Cola, the union, and my dad was I think CW. Not CW. What was the General Motors? What union?
UAW.
United
Auto Workers.
Yeah, I benefited from benefits of the UAW.
Sure.
I came up. My grandfather and my father, 35 years plus each, General Motors. So you know what I'm saying. Support. I want to shout out the unions, the union workers. I also want to give a shout out. She said everybody's throwing up their union set. I also want to give a shout out. Being a Mount Vernon resident, calling out specifically Mount Vernon, but to all of the DPW workers who had to work in this past week and who had to be outside. I didn't want to leave my house, man, to walk around the corner to the store. And they were outside all day, you know what I'm saying, doing whatever needed to be done for the cities, keeping us, getting garbage picked up and all that stuff and all the different things that DPW do. Shout out to all the hard-working men and women, individuals who work for DPW in this, I don't know what they just called it, a polar vortex or whatever. Mm-hmm. In the cold-ass weather. That's put it down. There was
brick out there.
It was brick house. Yeah, it was just like,
So, can't even front.
So I wanted to give a shout out. I saw something on Instagram and I made sure Black West Shows, gave a shout out. And I wanted to verbally, and the Mount Vernon DPW does not always have all it needs, and all the equipment that it needs, and also I want to shout out the first responders, police and fire and EMS.
Yes, it was a big fire, Mount Vernon.
Yeah, but I mean
generally,
and they had to go out in this cold for our benefit. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, all of y'all that had to
I want to give a shout out to the teachers.
Oh, yes. Well, you're a teacher. You're supposed to, so, yeah.
Little self-promotion.
Yeah. But, y'all, you drove to a school and you was inside. These people are outside.
No, I know it.
They outside trying to fight a fire with cold water and the freeze. I'm surprised. They holding cold water up to a fire.
Oh, man, you saw those pictures of people throwing wet pants outside and they freeze up and stand before they hit the ground?
I saw a person throw, and they were throwing up a cup of water.
What?
And it was like,
crystallizing
in the air. Like, literally, it was that cold.
AJ, since it's Black History Month, I do want to take an opportunity, since we've been talking about unions, and also the Kaepernick protest. I just want to take a moment to underscore the fact that very often in the popular imagination, we think civil rights is over here, social justice over here, economic justice over here. And I want to say that a previous generation of Black leaders understood that those two things were integrally connected, and that the struggle for social equality here in the United States, especially amongst African Americans, would never succeed if it was not paired with a struggle for economic equality and justice.
People like Harry Belafonte and James Brown throwing benefit contests to raise money for the civil rights movement, and various others. Not just them two, but those are the two that were very prevalent and come to mind first. But there were many others. You know what I'm saying? But you need that. You know what I'm saying? You need that support. You need that, and there's different ways to fight. Like they said that the players, they should do it on their own time. They're football players with millions of people watching them. If you want to get the attention of the world, you do it when they watching you, not home later. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, that was their brand of doing it. And I want to say about Cap. I said this before we went down. I've been down. We did the things in front of the NFL. We covered that. And Damon spoke and the whole nine. And we was at all the rallies and stuff. And then the black law enforcement officers down at the Brooklyn Bridge. We was down there. We covered that. History will remember Kaepernick in the way that history remembers Muhammad Ali now. It's a different thing. My point is making a sacrifice and sacrificing your career for a principle. Muhammad Ali, which is looked at very favorably now, was not looked at favorably then when it was going on. I mean, they were pulling everybody out the pocket. Jackie Robinson to talk about, how are you going to not serve this good country that let us make all this money? You know what I'm saying? Like, to make public statements against them. So when it's said and done, it might not be on the same level, but history will remember, excuse me, that he used his platform to bring national attention to a situation like this.
And I want to make clear that for me, Kaepernick's conduct personifies the highest principles, because when a person is able to sacrifice their own economic well-being for the well-being of their community, that's a rare act of heroism, and he or she is to be applauded. I wish we could all be Kaepernicks, but Many of us will not.
And
Not for reasons of lack of commitment, but because economic pressures may eventually, get to all of us.
Excuse me, got something caught in my throat.
Mhm.
Yo, so I just wanted to say that about him. And Brenda did share the information for the new Flex Winter Ball 2029. Honorees are Claudette Giles, Delia Farquharson, Anna Castillo, Judge Nichelle Johnson, Judy Williams Davis, Joan Horton, Johnny Button, who's on the show with them.
John. Okay,
yeah.
yes, I remember that. Mhm.
Jeff Red, Rob Garris, the boxer,
Okay,
David Shell,
right. Mhm.
and AJ Woodson in Black Westchester.
Okay.
There's a link to where you can buy the tickets, and the event is, I believe it's on the 22nd. And also, I did post, and I want to post it again, because we were talking. James did post the flyer.
Okay.
For the event.
Thanks
and
for
I'm
an
gonna put that up so
additional
everybody can see
2-week
it.
run. This on the heels of news that the film will become the
It's the
largest
day after.
event cinematic release ever.
February 23rd.
And speaking of soul, the boys were big winners at this year's Soul Music Awards on Tuesday night, taking home the grand prize. The group received the award for the second year in a row. RM said in acceptance, "I sincerely thank Army all over the world for giving us the day song twice. When it's hard for an artist to receive it even once. I am not sure if you'll believe me, but BTS is a fan of you too." BTS also received 2 other prizes at the 28th
James and Donna for what y'all are doing. I just want to applaud y'all again for the work that y'all do. Louise said, "I didn't think you were doing the show today." Well,
Louise, I won't tell you that I didn't think so either, but no.
she said, "But well, the devil never takes a day off. Neither can we. Have a great show. Thank you."
Thank you.
And Tracy said the same thing as D as far as Travis Scott. Doesn't hurt that his fiance is a popular DJ and personality. Something else is playing over you, AJ.
Oh, okay.
Don't know what that is. You still hear some noise
Is
over?
it like music or something, Tracy? We can't hear a thing here.
Because everything, yeah. I'm just hearing me and Bob. Shout out to Louise Cherico. I said Tasha Diaz tuned in. Shout out to her. Bob,
Yes.
D. Wilson says, "What are your views on Metropolitan Federal Detention Center having no heat, no hot water, no working toilets for the past week? It's all over the news."
It is absolutely atrocious. It's inexcusable. It once again illustrates the seeming inability of our bureaucracies to actually effectively deliver on services, even though they rake in millions and millions of dollars. I have to say, just as we see in the city of Mount Vernon, where all kind of, and then here I'm not talking about rank and file people, and I don't want to single anyone out, but there's a lot of ineptitude in local city government, and yet we continue to expend tremendous dollars. And the same thing is going on in the detention facility. You know, it is a violation of human rights law to not provide certain minimal conditions for prisoners. And that the United States, everyone, every international treaty, human rights treaty that is worth the paper is written on, the United States had a lead role in urging its adaptation. And for the United States to effectively repudiate civil rights laws and human rights laws that it had such a central role in enacting, to me, is just shameful. I mean, that's not what the United States is supposed to be about. We are supposed to be treating prisoners with a kind of at least minimal consideration, which includes things like heat and hot water. I can't wait till the day comes when one of these damn bureaucrats who have failed to live up to their responsibility are actually punished by the courts. More motherfuckers need to go to jail. Excuse me, everyone. I'm slightly upset about this because we see that this is a pattern that that just continues across the United States. Whether we're talking about in so many areas. Where do we just see? The New York City Housing Authority last month it was revealed that, they had ignored the problem of lead contamination in the New York City public housing.
Yeah.
I mean,
and then it was would they cover it up or something like that?
Yeah,
they got
covering
caught?
it up and everything. I mean, listen, I'm going to tell you. Do you know that something not dissimilar happened at Bronx Community College?
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I was teaching for the the winter session. We came back on the 22nd, the day after Martin Luther King's birthday. We came back to work to find out that there had been a major water main break on the campus, and the main academic building where so many classes and our main offices, our registrar's office, our bursar's office, about maybe the business office, our computer office, probably like 5-6 academic departments have been flooded. We had to relocate like 500 classes. And my thing is, Bronx Community College just undertook a major water main reconstruction project that had the whole campus in disarray and disrepair 2 years ago. And now we come back on the campus, and for some reason, the water mains are broken. And I'm going to tell you, there are a lot of overpaid executives at Bronx Community College. And I'm just miffed. And I know part of it is not their fault because the legislators are not adequately funding these things. But listen, it was predictable that the water mains were going to break at Bronx Community and that the damn lights and water and toilets and plumbing and everything was going to eventually fail at the Mid-Manhattan Correctional Facility because they have not been maintaining these things. And I'm sure if we dig back through the maintenance records, it's going to be just like in NYCHA. The warnings were issued.
So just for Brenda shared the story, and I'll just read the beginning of it for those who did not know what we were talking about. Many inmates at the Federal Detention Center in the New York borough of Brooklyn, were still sitting in their cold and dark cells Saturday because of a partial power outage. The director of Federal Defenders of New York, David Patton, and a representative of the union representing the facility's workers say. Federal workers said work to fix the power situation at the Metropolitan Detention Center will not be finished until Monday. The heat is sporadic and uneven. One representative said, lighting is down, no lights in the cell, all locked down since Thursday night. That's going on for at least 36 hours. When the sun goes down, it's pitch black. Inmates have medical conditions, can't read the instructions on their medications. Protesters gathered outside the building Saturday. Some carried signs with the words "shut it down," torture at the MDC, and other sayings. Brenda just posted the article so you can see it for yourself. You can read the rest of it for yourself.
And I want to add that one of the reasons that we see this kind of systemic neglect of so much of the infrastructure here in the United States is precisely because of the long-term trend in decline of taxes for the wealthiest corporations and individuals in our society. If we want to see more adequate funding of our schools, of our water systems, of our railroad systems, then we're going to have to increase taxes on those who are capable. We need to take seriously the proposal of Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez to institute a progressive tax rate, reinstitute a progressive taxation policy here in the United States that would tax people who make over 10 million bucks at 70% rate, everything over 10 million. So I'm fully supportive of it, and it's not going to be a correction until we actually put some more money back into the public coffers.
Shout out to Mount Vernon City Councilman Marcus Griffin, who's checking out the show.
Shout out, Brother Griffin.
Shout out to Brother Lat George checking out the show.
Lat, what's up, Lat?
And D said their lawyers were prevented from going in the facility. She was trying to find a video to share with us.
Right. I think a local congresswoman, I don't know if it's Nydia Velasquez.
You're right. That's what I read her comment. It's about the heat working. That was her.
These are very serious public safety issues, as we all know, partly from a lot of the insights that Damon shares about the pressures of and risks of modern corrections today. When you have people who are sitting in cells without power, without heat, without adequate exercise, without adequate food, it is not only does it pose jeopardy to their own personal safety and health, but it really does pose jeopardy to the security of the facility as a whole, both to inmates and also the correctional staff. And it's unacceptable that this should happen. You know, they need to lock some of the management within the correctional department needs to spend some days in these cells, and maybe that'll get them to get these issues addressed and fixed.
Donna Jackson asked the question, I wonder if we still have to rely on city officials to get us out of bankruptcy if that's where the budget standoff leads.
You know, I mean, I'll just say myself, although I've been doing research to try to get a better handle on this complex issue, at this point I just have to confess that I don't have a definitive answer that I'm comfortable sharing right now. My fear, as the fear of many people, is that eventually the state may have to intervene, although I did listen to Mayor Richard Thomas's press conference from a few days ago. I think it was on Monday.
Yes.
And I do recall that the mayor said that there would be no need for state intervention, although, as everyone knows, I tend to be skeptical of what the mayor says. It doesn't have a very good track record for truth-telling as far as I'm concerned.
Almost thought you were talking about Donald Trump for a minute.
Yeah. So,
that's what I was hearing on MSNBC all day today. But they were talking about Donald
You know,
Trump.
and I want to add, since we got onto the subject, AJ, you know, I think one of the reasons that we continue to see this kind of controversy and lack of clarity about what exactly is required of our public officials is precisely because the rules that govern us are, like, poorly understood. And, you know, AJ, you know, I like doing stuff like that. I like researching stuff. AJ knows I'll read court cases and stuff for hours on end, and the statutes and stuff.
I thoroughly appreciate you for that, because that means I don't have to all the time.
And I went and looked at the New York State Comptroller's office to try to get clear guidelines on the auditing requirements for public corporations. You know, and I was at the Comptroller's website. They had a lot of guidance, but I just couldn't find a clear statement about who has responsibility for the preparation of audits in the case of public corporations like our IDAs, like our urban renewal agencies, like our school districts. Intuitively, you know, I'm inclined to say each corporation has a responsibility for their own internal operations, including funding any audits that they may need. But I have to also confess that I could not find anything yet in the public record to corroborate that, and I did both look at, you know, the relevant laws on you know, New York State relevant laws and also the controller stuff. So,
shout out to Kiera Snow, my homegirl from Chicago, tuned in, checking out the show. How you doing, girl? It's been a while. Hope your health is good. Holla. Shout out to Charles Watts. Charles Watts tuned in. There's a couple other names, but I can't find them now. Thank you, everybody who can hear the sound of my voice. Thank you for tuning in. We greatly appreciate you. Yeah, but yes, I'm very appreciative of the efforts that Bob loves to. I will do it if I have to, but I prefer not to comb through
It can be very tedious.
50-something pages of legal jargon. Just I prefer not to if I don't have to. But I mean, I will, and I'm going to skim through and get to the information I need. I'm not always going to read everything. I'm keeping it real unless I absolutely have to. So to have someone on the team like Bob who just loves to do that is definitely a very good asset. And I appreciate you, bro.
I mean, and I will say to all the readers, and I mean to all the viewers, I invite y'all to go to the New York State e-court system and to begin to look up some of the cases that have played such a central role in Mount Vernon's legal politics over the past couple of years, because they're very revealing. There is a treasure trove of documentary evidence that can help us to better understand the underlying struggles and some of the legal ethical issues that are at stake.
So another question, it's a follow-up question. Shout out to Piper Carter. Who or what group stands to benefit the most if Mount Vernon goes insolvent?
I mean, personally, I think developers who currently have development projects that are in the works. One kind of analysis says that when a city goes belly up and a state authority has to intervene, very often the first thing to go in order to balance the budget is all of the social services that are of a special importance to the city's most vulnerable sectors. So if you're, fairly well-to-do, you may be able to get by if, somehow a reduction in budget hurts the school system, because you could send your child elsewhere. But if you're a resident of limited means, then you're not going to have much of a choice, and that is true for so many of the other services. If you are an elderly resident on a fixed income, it may be very difficult to make up for some of the services that are provided for our elderly community right now in Mount Vernon. For example, my grandfather receives Meals on Wheels twice a day, and I know we appreciate it because my mom is incapacitated. It's very difficult for any family members now to take care of my grandfather as fully as we can, and services like that are likely to go. And I think the beneficiaries are going to be the developers, reduce taxes that would ordinarily been generated for social services. That's my rough analysis. A resident of means? Yeah, I think yes.
Okay.
I wasn't sure. Maybe I didn't say that,
Huh?
No, I was saying maybe I garbled my words, but yes, I get Janelle's point.
Okay. So, anything else that y'all want to ask us about? You want to discuss? Please type it into the comment section, and for the next 10-15 minutes, if you want to call in and speak about something going on, 718-705-4959 is the number, 718-705-4959. Or you could just leave the comment in the leave your question in the comment section. Yes, shout to Janelle. She left a couple of comments. Oh, that's what you was commenting on.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm gonna just go ahead. So,
Oh,
I don't have all the confirming facts. I'm still confirming everything, but I've heard from high-level police officials that Mount Vernon Deputy Police Commissioner. Let me hold on. Let me just get straight to it so I don't have to. Where's it at? So, I'm getting reports that Mount Vernon Police Deputy Police Commissioner Joseph Spezio got, and as they've said here, collared in New Rochelle for a suspended license and had the police car that he was driving, the police-owned vehicle he was driving, seized. Follow-up, all I'm able to find out is that he was not arrested but received summonses issued for no New York State license. I'm being told that New York State license has been suspended for over 5 years. He produced a Florida license, and I'm being told by another source the police car was seized and had to be picked up by the Mount Vernon Police Department. This happened in New Rochelle, and it happened earlier today. I do not have any more information. We are actually, as you saw for you, those that were on at the beginning of the show, you actually saw I was on the phone like when we first kicked off, because we're trying to confirm everything. I have calls into New Rochelle. I have calls into No, you do not hear glee in my voice. Somebody said, I see I hear glee in your voice. No, it's not even about being happy or jumping up and down. If this comes out that this is as it was, the tip was given to me, this will be the second commissioner and
in almost as many weeks.
Right, who has been pulled over in the city of New Rochelle in a city-owned vehicle, one driving with like 8 suspensions on his license, and they put another suspension on, and he was driving under the influence and hit a car, hit a pole or a tree, I think it was a tree, and then popped the curb and almost hit one of the employees of the Nursing Rehabilitative Center in New Rochelle. And now you have a deputy police commissioner, well, a man who holds the title as the deputy police commissioner, being pulled over, and to the point that he couldn't drive the vehicle. The vehicle was seized and had to be picked up by the Mount Vernon Police Department today. I will be reaching out to the Thomas administration and everyone that I can to get further information. So that is all I know to this point. We're actively working on the story now. I asked and I probably will not have all the information before we get off the air, so I'm telling everyone to check blackwestchester.com, and as soon as we have the full story, we will be reporting it. So that is what we have been working on since before the show started. Comment? No,
Yeah.
I thought you were about to say something. No.
So, I have many comments, but firstly, unfortunately, this does not surprise me. This would be consistent with the record of disregard for the law that we've seen many senior members of the Thomas administration exhibit over the past several years. From the guy, Uzi was it, who was out in Jersey with the car?
The former building commissioner, was it building commissioner?
Was that
Ralph Uzi, who lived in New Jersey and took the city-owned vehicle home for the weekend and got into a crash, very serious damage to his vehicle, to the city vehicle, and to the car that was hit. And it was over the weekend, so he really had no reason. First off, I don't believe, now this is a A.J. Woodson, this is my thoughts. I don't believe, and I could be wrong and naive. Well, first off, that's why they had residency requirement. He was DPW commissioner. Thank you for correcting me. He was the former DPW commissioner.
Okay,
Ralph Uzi. We've gone through so many, it's been musical chairs with all the commissioners. So Aha. Somebody said, well, did Spezio take the bus back to Mount Vernon and pick the truck back up or not? And laughed. Like I said, I don't know. I don't want to speculate about anything. All I do know that he was summoned. I do know that the Mount Vernon Police Department had to come pick up the vehicle, and I am told that his New York State license was suspended all over 5 years ago, which was well before he became a deputy police commissioner and was issued a city vehicle.
Well, I mean, this raises a number of troubling questions because, as everyone knows, Joe Spezio's residency was at the heart of many legal battles that have taken place in the city of Mount Vernon over the past couple of years. And since I am someone who does follow the court records on this, I can tell you that Joe Spezio has attested to the court that he is a New York State resident, and so I'm just curious. I don't know if that means he is or wasn't. I don't know. Can you have Can you be a non-resident and still get a license from a state?
I don't remember what New York does, but I know when I went to Georgia, I had 30 days. When I moved to Georgia, we were supposed to do it in 30 days. I didn't, but you're supposed to within 30 days go down to the Georgia motor vehicles and switch your license plates, your driver's license over to Georgia, and I think many states are like that, but let's not pretend like there's people that it was mad people in Atlanta that never gave up their New York plates or wherever states they were from, and truck drivers for years have been doing this since they drive to state. If one license gets suspended, they usually have like 3 or 4 licenses in different states. So if a license gets suspended, they just pull out the Connecticut one, and if that's suspended, they pull out the Jersey one or the Atlanta one. I mean the Georgia one. They keep their job. They keep working. You know what I'm saying? And when they driving across several states, it's not uncommon to have an out of state. To get pulled over. So that's a policy that has been going on for years and years and years. So Atif wrote it down 52 minutes ago, and his information basically says the same thing that I just said. So we're working on that story. I mean, we got the calls before we went on air, probably close about 4 o'clock-ish when we finally started hearing it, and I wanted to confirm everything before saying it on the air as much as I could confirm. So those are the brief details that I was able to confirm. I'm sure there'll be statements released, and other news outlets will be looking into this. It's amazing to see what happens. I mean, because they said Commissioner Dan Jones is back to work, not suspended, nothing happened to him, and possibly still driving the vehicle, a company vehicle. So I can't confirm that part, but I'm saying that's what I was hearing from City Hall. I know he is at work though. I know he did not lose his job or get suspended or disciplined in any manner, despite residents feeling that he should have been. Some were even calling for him to be fired. What happens with this? I mean, it's now this is outside of reporting what facts. This is opinion. Y'all listen to the show for my opinion. So the dangerous thing is like, well, it happened in New Rochelle, so it wasn't like it happened in Mount Vernon and then it could be covered up by Mount Vernon because it would be Mount Vernon Police Department. You know what I'm saying? And they, they're not going to arrest him and throw him in jail or whatever. So for pretty much anything. So we'll see for a second time what New Rochelle is going to do. I mean, right. We've had incidences dealing with outside of the jurisdiction. With we had a second car chase going into the Bronx. I think that was last week, some shots were fired or whatever. And I think at some point, one of the Mount Vernon police officers were actually dragged for a short period of time before they was able to break away from the vehicle, and they were in the hospital for. I'm sure they're out now, but they were in the hospital for a day or two. That person got picked up in Connecticut. You know what I'm saying? But it was the second time the police had to deal with. They had the other incident where they crossed over to the Bronx. They had the big Wild Wild West shootout. You know what I mean? But I guess the New York State, the Bronx Attorney General or whoever decided not to pursue it. But so far, because I know they had impounded the vehicle and everything. But so it's just getting crazy right now. It's getting crazier by the minute. There's a lot. We need to pay attention to what's going on. We have an election coming up. We need to really pay attention to what's going on. We need to really ask the tough questions of the candidates. Residents, you have a big responsibility. There's a saying, you get the government you deserve. That usually means, either you voted them in or you decided not to vote and then you, in a sense, voted them in. You know what I'm saying? So there's some decisions that the city of Mount Vernon registered voters are going to have to make over the next couple of months with 2 city council seats up and a mayor seat up.
Right.
I think that's it, but that's enough. That's big right there. So, there's decisions that need to be made. Y'all need to vet the candidates. Whoever you think will do the best job to turn things around, that's who you need to vote for, not because they're affiliated with somebody else, not because your friend is working on their campaign, not because they're cool or speak pretty words or, look good in a photo op. And again, I say, so all of your church is about to be invaded by politicians coming to speak to you, that politicians you have never seen in your church before or since the last election when they were running. You need to take that into consideration. The candidates that are actually still the candidates, even when they lose or they're out of office, and you still see them come worship with you and come through, not for speaking, just to come through and worship. Those you want to see. You pay attention to stuff like that. It's a lot that needs to be paid attention to, and there is this election this year in Mount Vernon, Yonkers, and some other cities. I think Peekskill. Next year on the national level, y'all all have some very some important decisions to be making for the future of the individual municipality you live in, or for the nation. So that's it. That's all. I'm off my soapbox, and we coming close to the show. We still got time, but Bob, any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I was going to add, AJ, that I think one of the root causes of one of the things that helps to explain why politics is increasingly a popularity contest as opposed to a battle of ideas is because so few of our politicians actually have any worthwhile ideas to share in the first place. It's a big problem.
And they talked about that today on I was watching the repeat Friday from Bill Maher's show, and he was like, yo, I blame some of that, especially on the national level, I blame the media. It's so busy covering the horse race and not the policies, and you know what I'm saying? Like, what the person can do, like,
and it's also because in many respects, despite the professionalization of journalism, many of our journalists, I get the distinct feeling that many of our journalists, and this is true, the farther away from the national level we get, the less likely they are to have the knowledge base that's required to actually evaluate policies. There is a kind, I don't know, and here, I wonder today if the today's journalists, AJ, are as well read and as worldly as a previous generation of journalists, including figures like Jimmy Breslin.
But they didn't start out that way. They had to.
Yeah, I know they may
put
not
the work
have,
in.
but
They
I get
put
the
the work
sense,
in.
man, that I mean, like
I always say,
Mhm.
like some people feel like I have all the answers or I know it all. I've learned with every story that I've written. I've learned about topics. I've learned about more and more about politics with every story that I covered. A lot of these stuff, that's how I've learned. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I now sometimes I can speak on certain things because I've covered all these different things. I did want to mention, and D. Wilson asked the question that reminded me. So speaking about the mayor race, there's at least anywhere between 8 or more people that claim that they're running or that the streets think are running, and Black Westchester is trying to compile a list of the official candidates that are running. I've sent personal text messages to people that they've mentioned, Delia Ferguson, Janice Duarte, Lyndon Williams, Derrickson Lawrence. I couldn't find Clinton's number. I heard Clinton and a few other people. I've heard back from 2, but not an answer to the question, are you running? They both called me. They both had two of the candidates still have not said they are or said they're not. So we're trying to put that list together. The reason that brought this up, D. Wilson answered, and I got stopped in a corner store this morning, actually, for real. I know Jesse Van Lula's around the corner from me. He lives on 9th. Yeah, he lives on 9th. You know what I'm saying? So I saw him in the store today.
Word.
Yeah. So anyway, the word on the street is that Ernie Davis is running. I've also sent him a personal text too. I have yet to hear back from.
He hasn't confirmed it.
None of these people have had official press conferences announcing it. Other than Lyndon, of all the people I mentioned, nobody's even had a fundraiser, but that could be for his county legislative seat because it didn't say fundraiser for mayor. And he does fundraisers once or so a year for, keep his money going for his election that he has to run for every 2 years. I think he got at least one more term for that. But so no, I know no more than the rest of you, and what you hear, I have no better. The person I can tell you for sure 2 things. Andre Wallace had a press conference. He announced it and has something coming up. He has actually a campaign kickoff celebration coming up. And Mayor Richard Thomas, Spezio, and Rich are always talking about his second term. So I would almost be willing to bet that if for any reasons he does not go to jail like everyone thinks or is not removed from office like anyone thinks, I totally expect him to be in the primary running for the mayor.
As do I.
So other than those 2, Black Westchester, People Before Politics, cannot confirm any other candidates, anybody else who's talking about it, anybody else's names who have been mentioned, because they have not had a press conference, the official announcement, a tweet, a smoke signal, or nothing official. And I've reached out to most of them personally, and I have yet to hear from themselves that they are running, including the 2 who contacted me, but then did still not answer the question if they were running. No, after Lyndon did say, I think he said something online. He hasn't decided or something like.
He has an exploratory committee.
No, he hasn't decided. So, something that was not. It wasn't a yes or a no.
It was non-committal.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, that's what I have to say because I've been getting those calls and someone just asked me on. D actually just asked. So, and I want to be. I haven't made a decision. Those were his exact words. I don't want to misquote him. That was Lyndon Williams' exact words. Derrick Lawrence was the other one who called. Derrickson Lawrence was the other one who called me, but he spoke to me about the election, but did not make he did not confirm or deny that he is running. So no one else has got back to me yet. So that is that. I wanted to talk about something that I had it in my head, and I wanted to talk about that. Just happened. Something just happened. Oh, I forget. Shout out to Montika. Bob, anything about what I just said? You want to speak on that? The race, anything real quick?
I am not supportive of Ernie Davis' candidacy myself, although I know that doesn't count for much. Even though I do know some friends, and comrades.
He's not counting on you counting on
yeah, I know. I could already hear Ernie be like, yo.
I ain't asking for your damn support.
I see like this. Ernie out there somewhere. I mean, I opposed, I joined Richard's campaign in 2015 partly out of opposition to Ernie Davis in particular and his policies and what I thought was left much to be desired. That's all I can say. Everyone's going to support who they might. I'm not going to support.
So CNN reported about an hour ago, a rapper named 21 Savage, a Grammy-nominated rapper, was arrested earlier today by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. According to ICE spokesperson Brian Cox, the agent said he is illegally present in the United States. So, we had a Grammy-nominated rapper arrested by ICE. There's a story that was on my tip of my tongue that I definitely wanted to bring up, and I don't remember what it is right now. Is that a joke? I'm not going to read that. So, Bob, anything else going on?
Yeah, I was going to say, because I wanted to follow up on what I was saying before about the decline in the knowledge base, my perception of the decline in the knowledge base of journalists. For a previous generation of journalists, AJ, when the newspaper was an organic part of the community, many of them rose to public prominence as serious first-rate intellectuals. And one name that came to mind as I searched through my scholarly memory bank was Walter Lippmann, who was a editorial column writer, if I'm not mistaken, for the New York Times at one point, who wrote a number of very important books about the relationship between media and democracy. Another example of this on the national level is I.F. Stone. I was going to say a person who's a little closer to Westchester, who I think sort of embodies this, is this guy Richard Garfunkel. And I've mentioned him before. I know he was a commentator on WVOX, one of the programs on WVOX. He's also a writer, and I believe that he wrote with a newspaper. And Richard and I are friends. We just befriended one another on Facebook sometime after, I started participating in Mount Vernon politics and, the whole Trump controversy. And I had stumbled on his writings, but he's like an excellent writer, and I can tell you that one of his fields of expertise is on FDR. And the man is reading about the Delano Roosevelt, FDR's administration. I mean, read all the leading books. Listen, in order to be well-informed, in order to be able to fashion new policy proposals that are suited to address the challenge of our time, you must know something about previous policy proposals and what they sought to address and why they failed and the counter reactions that they initiated. And to be honest with you, I don't think many people that are very well informed, I hate to say, is indicative of a decline in the culture of reading here in the United States. People are operating in the blind. Everyone needs to go back to their libraries. You turn off your damn cable television, turn off the Super Bowl, and read a book for 3 hours. And let's kind of like come up with some new ideas, y'all.
I saw quick. You got a bunch of thumbs up on the book reading thing. Carmen Gomez Goldberg. Yeah, call me. Hit me tomorrow. I got to talk to you tomorrow. Cousin Wayne Robinson. Donna Jackson, Jeff Monroe just tuned in.
Brother Jeff.
Daniel Terry, Tanya Connor, Joanne Capadoni.
Daniel Terry, that's AO, right?
Yes.
AO, what's up?
Piper Carter, all tuned in. We coming to the close of the show, so I just want to thank everybody for tuning in. This is the 201st show. 201 shows. I thank you. I saw a documentary on Churchill.
Mm-hmm.
I was watching it, just checking him out. And, Hitler was taking, advancing. And they were wanting him to make a deal. Like his, people under him, like, let's, and
appeasement, a policy of appeasement.
Right, with the Nazis, with Hitler.
Mm-hmm.
So, he really didn't want it, and they were like, they tried to box him in, like, are you saying you're not willing for a peace talk? Blah, blah, blah. So, on his way back to Westminster, he got stuck in traffic, and he got out.
And he got on the train.
And he got on the train, and everybody was looking at him. You can still smoke this, so he was looking for a light for a cigar. He started asking people what they thought and everything. And they basically was like, oh, hell no, ain't no treaty, ain't no surrender. He said, well, what would you do? And it is possible that, they come here and these very streets above us. He said, we're going to pick up whatever, we're going to fight back to our death. And then that was what the people was like, don't give in. And then he went and spoke to, it wasn't Parliament, it was something, but there was a lot of the public there and everything, and he invited them. And basically they all rallied around him. And, he stood forth, and they eventually won. I think 5 years later, they won. But it was very good, though. And it was just, you mentioned Franklin Delano. There was a call from him to Franklin Delano, and it made me think of the Churchill thing. 'Cause I was watching a couple of documentaries this week.
I saw, I think, a recent dramatization of Churchill's years as the Prime Minister of England during World War I. And they had, World War II, and they had a similar scene where they showed him. I think it was starring, I want to say Gary Oldman played Churchill.
That might be, it was like HBO, so it was something like that.
It was excellent. I mean, it was moving. I was moved by it, by his speech and his willingness to have a frank talk with the British people at a time of national crisis, and to really try to get get a pulse of the people. And it was really the people.
And I think that, I felt that because he was the Prime Minister. It was the point. He was sitting on the train. People were like, people were looking. He would look and turn away because they didn't want to be caught looking.
Yeah,
looking
it was
like, and then it'd be
that.
like he stood up. Everybody on the train stood up. Like, and it was just like, but the fact that he didn't even know how to take the thing. Because he's looking at the map, and the girl was like, oh, you know how to work this thing? How do I get to Westminster? And she had to show him what train to take and everything. But, I think more elected officials need to be more in tune with what's going on in the street and the climate of their constituents. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Not at big rallies and stuff, but like, just on some real randomness like that.
Right.
Like I think you would understand how the people feel about some things. I want to also shout the I did saw something on Whitney Houston, and it made me put her as the bottom part of the cover, because she passed February 11th, which is coming up, and February was also the year in '85 when her debut album came out. So put her in there. I wonder. I think, was it Donna Nolan? One of the Donnas just said that their birthday is on the 7th, and I didn't get a chance to say happy birthday to them since that'll be before next week. Happy birthday, Donna. And to Tracy and Tammy Cates. Their mother's birthday is also the 11th. Their mother passed 2 years ago.
Right.
And I want to shout out Gail Cates. And my prayers are with y'all. I know, you're still wrestling with that. So I just wanted to make sure I definitely uplifted that. So basically shout out to all my February birthdays. Everybody who's having a birthday this month. So whoever's watching the Super Bowl, I hope y'all enjoying the show. I want to hear. I ain't got time now. I want to know who had the dope commercials, because the commercials was like the commercials was like the best part for me, like in the last couple of years. But the commercials been getting whacker and whack. They're not those limit. You know, you had those iconic commercials that came on. Now you got like some random just. You know, if somebody has some money and they just put some randomness on it, it's like that wasn't worthy of a Super Bowl commercial as far as I'm concerned. So I want to hear blackwestchester.com what your favorite Super Bowl commercial was. Anything I need to know about. Don't forget to check us out tomorrow on WVOX, the Black Westchester Power Hour, from 11 a.m. to 12 noon. Again, thank you everyone who's giving me birthday shouts. My birthday is Tuesday, and all the people that wish me good luck in my speech at the Westchester Community College on Wednesday. It's going to be a very busy week, and trying to have the paper out this week too. And then we have the Saturday again. We have the Cupcake Cutie sponsored. Black History Month, Black Business Appreciation at Apricots and Honey. I posted the flyer. It's all over. But make sure if you can, check that out. It'll be some good black businesses. Support them. It's a free event. Come chill out, have some wine. One or two of the restaurants, the black restaurants, they'll have food there too. So, like 19 Court, I think they'll have food there, and they may have. I know they're being honored somewhere else, so they might not be, like the dude, I wanted to meet him, he might not be there because he's also being honored somewhere else the same day. So shout to, and let's Black History. Let's teach our kids some real black history, stuff that they can't learn in school. Some of the important movements, some of the important people to that have made sacrifices for us. Let's not just it's Black History Month, another sale, and and all that and everything else, and and support black business. Go out and support. As we put this issue together for black business, support black business. We really need to support all black businesses. And speaking from a black business owner, I'm encouraging everybody to support not just Black Westchester, and we need you to do that, but support black businesses. I see. Sure. Ayo, you come on down now. you come on down now. With that said, we're coming to the close of the show.
That was not right.
I mean, you said it. I was just laughing. You said, "Can I come do?"
Yo, Ayo, next time you gotta say that earlier in the show, man.
Yo, so no, I was just joking. That's I couldn't resist though. It's like, yeah, sure, come on down. We might not be here when you get here though, but you could be doing anything else, but you decided to ride with us, and we greatly appreciate it. This is Black Westchester presents the People Before Politics radio show every Sunday 6 to 8 on InTheMixRadio.com, giving you that real talk for the community since 2014. Until next week, peace. Don't forget to check us out tomorrow, WVOX at 11 a.m.
22 million black victims of Americanism are waking up, and they're gaining a new political consciousness, becoming politically mature. And as they develop this political maturity, they're able to see the recent trends in these political elections. Any minority that has a block of votes that stick together is in a strategic position. Either way you go, that's who gets it. You're in a position to determine who go to the White House and who stay in the doghouse. You're the one who has that power. You and I have never seen democracy. All we've seen is hypocrisy. When we open our eyes today and look around America, we see America not through the eyes of someone who has enjoyed the fruits of Americanism. We see America through the eyes of someone who has been the victim of Americanism. We don't see any American dream. We've experienced only the American nightmare.